Breaking right now, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle furious as Prince William chooses to go to Paris for the opening of the Notre Dame Cathedral and get close.
Hey everyone, buckle up because today we're diving into the Hollywood storm surrounding Meghan Markle and Tyler Perry. Is Hollywood finally done with Meghan Markle? Let's break it all down. Remember when Meghan and Harry first fled the UK? They landed in the US with explosive interviews, multi-million-dollar deals, and a warm welcome from Hollywood elites.
With their sworn enemy Donald Trump, a man who has even discussed the possibility of deporting the Duke of Sussex from the USA for lying on his immigration forms. Analysis with Brittany, editor of the Royal News Network, in just one moment. But first, let's look at the delightful moment where William meets Trump, and it was very, very clear these two are going to be close. Oh, Brittany, what did you make of it?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was great because obviously Donald Trump is going to be the president of the United States, and William is very much fulfilling his role there as a future head of state. He is there in place of Charles. He's there to represent the British government. So I think they had a very warm interaction, and I think it sets a great precedence for the future. We know Donald Trump loves the royal family. He really enjoyed his state visit. So I'm sure he's like really hoping for another one with Charles now as king. But I feel like Donald Trump and William got along pretty well there. And obviously, William has to be very careful if he's not a fan, not to let on to that too much. But I think the interaction with them overall was very, very warm and friendly. And I think it was really, really exciting to see William there and William really stepping up onto the world stage as an international leader in many ways.
Yeah, no, totally agree. The thing is, though, Brittany, he didn't have to go to Notre Dame. This was making a real point. It was head of states that were invited, but obviously Charles, who's still suffering from cancer, of course, didn't go. William could have made the decision not to, but he did. It was an important moment, of course. This was a big deal for Macron. But the fact that there was this unilateral meeting with William, that William was so delighted to see him in the cathedral, is quite extraordinary, Brittany, given the context. And the context is, you're wanting to deport my brother. I mean, there were some hilarious memes, actually. I think I've got a couple of them.
Yeah, I saw some of those too. They were excellent.
That's very funny. I'm deporting Harry. Please don't, because he doesn't want him back. And there's another one from Meghan's mole, actually, which made the point of Trump saying to William, your brother deserved the dog bowl. And that's, of course, referencing the story in Spare. But this is significant because it's almost inevitable that Harry would have come up in that unilateral meeting. And that is what other royal insiders like Ingrid Seward, the editor of Majesty magazine, have been reporting today. Brittany, do you think that's the case?
One of the first to roll out the red carpet, Tyler Perry. He gave them shelter, security, and public support. He even loaned them his private mansion in Beverly Hills when they had nowhere else to go.
I mean, he might have come up as a small factor. Of course, there are so many other big things going on in the world in between the United States and United Kingdom. So I would hope that more important topics of conversation came up beyond Prince Harry, because obviously there's so many other issues those in the United States wish probably that Donald Trump would get to first over Harry. But I imagine he definitely did come up, because I think definitely when it comes to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, their sort of cosplay royal routine, they were allowed to sort of do that under the last administration and nobody really raised any eyebrows. I think that'll really grate on Donald Trump and that administration. And so I don't think they can play the same cosplay royal routine without any repercussions in the new administration, because Donald Trump and his team is going to go, hey, wait a second. We are the head of state. We are the government here, not you two. We don't even know what you two are doing. So you need to stop that now. If not, we'll obviously go to the next steps, because Harry and Meghan, again, the danger and the weird thing they do is trying to be royals here, but they're not royals in the United States. They are simply cosplay royals. They are simply sort of a weird group of celebrity, and they need to sort of stick in that lane rather than just trying to recreate what they had in the UK here. Because, I mean, they've told us time and time again, they hated the UK. They hated royal life. Why are they trying to redo it here? So I think it'll be interesting to see how the Donald Trump administration deals with Harry and Meghan. I mean, again, I hope that it's not high on the list of priorities, but it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out as well.
Harry will view it as a major betrayal, though, Brittany, because you know how Harry thinks. He is constantly looking for reasons to be angry with his brother. And my belief is that this pushed all of those buttons.
Well, I mean, you got to think too when it comes to the picture of the four generations. So Queen Elizabeth, King Charles, Prince William, Prince George, and apparently Prince William got really, Prince Harry got really frustrated over that. And then you had the Christmas picture where it was, I think, just Charles and Camilla, and then a picture of the Waleses family. And Harry was incensed by that. So it was obvious, though, that what the Queen was trying to do at the time was reflect the continuity of the monarchy. And yet Harry took that as an offense when he really didn't need to take that as offense. So, of course, he might be miffed by that, but this is William's job. William's job as a future head of state is to really have this great relationship with world leaders. And we don't know what Queen Elizabeth really thought about a lot of the world leaders she interacted with, because her job was to, no matter who it was, host them with dignity, host them with respect. That way, the royals, what they do is they sort of grease the wheels between the ruling government, whoever actually has the policy power, and the foreign government. So they're there to be that soft arm of diplomacy. And so William, of course, it is his job to go meet with Donald Trump. Prince Harry should not be mad at that, but
he will be.
Of course,
he
reality doesn't
totally
hit
because
very well.
you've absolutely made the correct point. I broke the story of Megxit nearly 5 years ago, actually 5 years ago next month, and it was in my initial story, Brittany, where I was briefed by sources close to Prince Harry that he was absolutely livid about that picture that you refer to, absolutely livid about this so-called snub from the late Queen. Utterly ridiculous. As you say, it was a historic moment for the Queen to show that the succession was strong. Charles, William, George. It wasn't some sort of personal slight against Harry. As you can imagine, two different views from both ends of the political spectrum about the Trump and William growing special relationship. Narinder Kaur wrote, "This is the moment you know William is not at all ready to become a king. His father, despite all his flaws, at least acts like he's the king and people flock to him, same as the late Queen. William acting like some competition winner is really cringy." So her views seem to be, Brittany, that William was too kind to Donald Trump.
That gesture wasn't just kind, it was symbolic. Meghan had Hollywood's protection, or so it seemed. Fast forward to today, and the silence is deafening. Tyler Perry, once a vocal ally, has noticeably distanced himself from Meghan and Harry.
Oh, I think that's crazy. I think they had just a general conversation. If you actually watch the entire video where Donald Trump meets with Prince Albert real quick, Queen Matilda, King Philippe, and then the Grand Duke Henri and Grand Duchess Maria Theresa, in that line before getting to William, they all had very general positive interactions, it appeared like, because they're on the world stage. They know the cameras are on them, so they're not going to be rude or anything. But this is what royals are supposed to do. If they have personal feelings about a politician, if they are not a fan, that's something to maybe share with their spouse and probably nobody else, because their job is to put this great face forward and to have a really positive relationship. And it seemed like, to me, from what I could tell, Donald Trump had a positive interaction with every single royal there, other politicians as well. And obviously, people have their opinions on Donald Trump, which seem to range in the extremes. But this is exactly what William is supposed to be doing. And although he is not the head of state yet, he is a future head of state. And so he may have a relationship, and he'll have a relationship for as long as his life continues with the United States in sort of a diplomatic capacity. And so William was enacting and fulfilling that role instead of his father, and on behalf of the British government. He was there representing the British people. I think it was even King Henry, I think maybe even the fifth, who was actually crowned in the Notre Dame Cathedral. And so you have a very strong relationship between the French and the English going back many centuries. And so it was very appropriate for a member of the British monarchy to be there. And I think it looked like a fantastic event and a fantastic opportunities for some of these world leaders to interact and continue to grow and develop their relationships.
Indeed, and especially at the moment, Brittany, because relations between the new UK government and the incoming US government are so terrible. I mean, David Lammy, the UK's Foreign Secretary, had previously described Donald Trump as a neo-Nazi. So I think Lady Colin Campbell summed up the other side of the coin best when she wrote on X, the meeting between Kensington Royal Prince William and President-elect Donald Trump demonstrates as nothing else can how lucky we are to have a constitutional monarchy instead of a republic. After the way the present British government has traduced the incoming president, it is highly unlikely we would have had the possibility of a good relationship with our main ally had Trump had to work solely with the raw material of the Starmer government. This is particularly true as regards the Foreign Secretary David Lammy, who wasn't only vitriolic but personally offensive in the unprofessional way only a sanctimonious ignoramus can be. God, I love Lady C. Thank God we have a royal family which understands how government as well as diplomacy and foreign policy should be conducted. We are also lucky that Trump, the son of a Scotswoman, represents the monarchy and that both he and the royals understand why honey brings rewards, vinegar can't. But Brittany, I want to talk about the rest of William's weekend now, because it was actually extraordinary. He is coming into his own as a leader in so many ways. So let's rewind first to the Carols concert, Catherine's Carols concert on Friday night, which was just the most beautiful event. The whole family was there. And do you remember, Brittany, earlier this year, this was only a dream, really, to imagine that Catherine would be healthy enough to host the event, have all of her family there, and it was just so special.
No public statements, no appearances, no Instagram posts. Insiders say he's quietly stepping away and choosing not to involve himself in Meghan's latest media ventures.
It was really a fantastic event. Obviously, many people, you're right, did have questions about whether or not this would go on. It's become, I think, a really iconic date within sort of the royal calendar and the Christmas time to have this Carol's event. And I think it's something that Catherine has become really, really passionate about as well. And I felt like this year, and I can't quite remember the exact phraseology, but something to the effect of, coming alongside people is sort of the theme for this Christmas Carols event. And I think that's something she felt very intimately this year because she had to rely on her husband, on her children, on her family to support her through this very difficult medical diagnosis. And I think once she reached Christmas time, there's sort of a special emotion that comes with that. And so I think she is very grateful for this year, looking forward to the future, and yet also still recovering, still getting her strength back, still sort of reorienting herself after such a challenging year. And I think William has been a very strong force by her side. And I'm looking forward to seeing her more in 2025. It's been a very strange year without Catherine, but so grateful and amazing to see her doing so incredibly well.
Indeed, but don't you think, Brittany, that Prince William has come into his own? Because think about how big this weekend was for him. Friday night, the Carols concert, his whole family there. Catherine's biggest event of the year. Saturday, straight to Notre Dame, where the eyes of the world are on him, specifically that meeting with Trump. Sunday, back to one of his passion projects, homelessness, where he was absolutely at home, making the food, making jokes, really connecting with people. And it's almost like sometimes, Brittany, you think he has the best of Charles, his father, but also Diana, because look at the hugs and everything. There's an ease in the way that he is conducting his business at the moment. And I actually think there's an ease that he has had since having to do much more on his own following Catherine's diagnosis. What's really interesting is my royal insiders say, rather than crumble, he actually took a lot of strength from going out, meeting the public, and he has really enjoyed these solo engagements.
Yeah, it's great to see him continue to grow into this role because I think obviously after Her Majesty's death, it was a time period where they were all sort of figuring out how the dominoes would fall because Queen Elizabeth had been such a forebearer, a standard in the royal family for so long that to adjust was going to take some time. But I feel like William has definitely come into his own this year. He's really starting to grow and develop his role as the Prince of Wales. We have his homelessness project, Homewards, going on and continuing to grow. He's continuing to sort of adjust how the Duchy of Cornwall works. And so he's had these great successes and a couple of huge things this weekend. A family event, obviously led up by his wife in many ways, where he is there as a support, and then going onto the world stage and being a world leader, or in some ways a future world leader as he is at the Notre Dame reopening service, and then going and doing a charity project and encouraging those around him. I think is just so great to see him doing so well despite the challenges. And sometimes when you have a family crisis like this, it forces you to grow in different ways that you wouldn't necessarily anticipate, but can really develop into a just a really strong sense of purpose. And I think that's what William is feeling since Catherine's diagnosis and going through this whole process. And obviously, you have the grief as well for the loss of his grandmother just a couple of years ago, and his grandfather and his father going through his own cancer diagnosis. That William is really finding that purpose of finding the role within the royal family that he wants to play and continuing to develop and grow it in really strong ways. And so I look forward to seeing how he continues to change up not only how the role as the Prince of Wales works, but maybe what new projects he and Catherine might add. I think we'll see that continue to ramp up and grow and grow and grow as him and Catherine ease more and more into this post cancer life, and hopefully as well their roles as the Prince and Princess of Wales.
Even when asked in recent interviews about the couple, Perry has either changed the subject or offered vague, non-committal responses. So what changed?
It hasn't been a good beat weekend for Meghan Markle, however, as there is growing speculation that she was asked not to appear on stage with her apparent BFF, Tyler Perry, at the Paley Centre Honours. Quite extraordinarily, you'll see there were huge names up on that stage: Kerry Washington, Oprah Winfrey, but Meghan, who had gladly stolen the spotlight from Tyler on the red carpet, was not given that role. Brittany from the Royal News Network, this was very shocking and very embarrassing for Meghan, given she is on the committee of this event, but wasn't on stage with Tyler Perry. Yet Oprah was, Kerry Washington was.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm always cautious until I can watch the full event myself because sometimes camera angles and everything sort of impact what you can see. But I found it really interesting to watch sort of her interaction with Tyler Perry on the red carpet because he seemed, I wouldn't say super engaged with her, super excited to interact with her. Once they had taken their pictures, he was like, I want to go over here. And I think they were just moving to take additional pictures at a different angle. But you have the as well the Times of London article where he is asked about Harry and Meghan, and he had this very kind of biting response to the Times journalist. And I think he was probably not, it was probably an interaction that he should have done a bit better in terms of PR. But at the same time, you can't help but think, associating with Harry and Meghan tends to bring negative attention, negative impacts on you because you're associated with them and they have a huge negative public reputation. And whether or not you're attached to that, once you're with them, that negative attention the two of them have tends to follow you. And it seemed to me as well that Tyler Perry did not understand that the Times of London was not a tabloid. It's actually a very respectable publication, sort of like the New York Times. He seemed to think that it was more akin to something like the Daily Mail, which it obviously is not. But I don't think he is super enthused by some of aspects of his relationship with Harry and Meghan, because I think in some ways as well, Meghan can be very demanding. Obviously, he lent them his home. In some instances, it might have been a security team. He lent them his jet. And so he's lent them a lot of things. And you got to wonder sometimes if they start to ask for too much. And he's like, let's calm it down. But I don't think he was probably really wanting her on stage because her being there all the attention goes to her. And it was his night, and I'm sure he was not happy to have any of his attention stolen there.
Is Tyler Perry simply being strategic, or is this a sign that even Hollywood has had enough of Meghan Markle? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and tap that notification bell so you never miss a real breakdown of what's going on behind the scenes. More drama, more Hollywood truths, and more royal fallout coming soon. See you next time.